All right, hi everyone, and welcome to our live webinar. This webinar will be about Intune applications and as well as packaging, how you can build these applications in Intune environment. It will be approximately 45 minutes long. I'll probably get through everything in 35 minutes, and at the end, we'll do some Q&A session. If I won't be able to answer all of the questions, I'll try to answer them afterwards individually to you over LinkedIn. All right, so hi everyone. My name is Martin Curtis. Those of you who don't know me, I have 20 plus years of experience in IT, and I've been wearing multiple different hats in my career. I've been managing application lifecycle, packaging, including we've been managing devices through multiple different management systems like SMS, ICCM, and now, of course, through Intune. And in the recent couple of years, I moved more into the cloud solutions. Now we're developing our own cloud solutions as well as transitioning customers into the cloud. And that is one of our services for you on cloud. We offer application packaging service, which includes moving applications from SCCM into the Intune environment as well. All right, so what is the agenda for today? I'll talk about types of applications. I'm going to bring up some of applications and explain to you how they work, what they do. Then we're going to build into an application. I'll bring in up some couple best practices and recommendations. Then we are going to deploy application through the Intune portal. We'll create application and publish it to company portal. And then I'm going to show you how you can manage Intune applications in different ways with another platform. And at the end, we'll do some troubleshooting. We'll try to install application and see if it works. If it does, I'll show you the sequence of installation steps. All right, Intune. Intune been around for more than 10 years, and it is part of the Microsoft Endpoint Management, or MEM. Everyone is using that terminology as well. When everyone asks me what I think and how I can explain Intune, I always say, well, it is same as SCCM, but just in the cloud. You have very similar features that you have in SCCM. It is less complicated. But at the same time, you can't get out of the same functionality what you had in SCCM. But you can manage all of the devices that are out there. So no matter on the location, you can control, manage, and of course, deploy applications. So there is three type of applications I want to bring up because the first two of them requires some packaging and the rest of them don't. So Windows apps, or I call it Win32. This is where you can convert in either any exe file into the Win32 app or MSI package as well. Then there is line of business, LOB. In the past, everyone used LOB to deploy MSIs, but now everyone is using it to push out MSIX applications. The reason is because Microsoft has improved drastically and improved a lot in the Win32 world, which allows you to use these MSIs with more functionality. And then there is, of course, Store apps. Store apps are either Android, iOS, or even Microsoft Store. You can push these applications out. And there are a couple other features at the bottom, other applications at the bottom that we're not going to touch today, but we just want to bring up built-in apps, Microsoft 365 Edge, Defender, as well as you push out through the Intune some of the web links to the users. And I'll show you how that works as well. So a couple of points I want to bring up is, first of all, under Win32, when you're building these applications, you will have to convert application into the Intune Win format. So if you have already application in your SCCM, you'll have to touch it and you have to convert it. There's no automated way. Of course, you can script it. You can do other ways, through the PowerShell and make kind of mass conversion, but I wouldn't recommend that. I would touch every application individually. And the only limitation, as far as I know, is applications has limitation on 8 GB per app. So if you have application larger than that, yeah, you're not going to be able to push it out through the Intune as Win32. I've seen and experienced issues even with applications that has 2.5 gigs. And the issues being that you can't upload application or you can't actually push it out to the user just when the time's out. And Intune converter, Intune Win converter, you can get on Git. Just go and search and you'll find that one in there. And as in terms of LLB applications, one of the limitations that's been around is you can only create a single MSI file. If you want to use LLB to deploy MSIs, then you need to have everything compressed in a single MSI. And store apps, I already mentioned that. And these are applications at the bottom, I already said as well, and we're going to touch some of them as well. All right, let me get into the console, Intune portal, and show you how everything looks in there. All right, so this is Intune console, mem, where you can see a list of all applications. Right here, you have a name of application, type of application. These are types that I just brought up. Windows, MSI, LLB, a universal app. This is MSIX. This is a store app, and this is Win32 app. Somewhere you see, I added some of the extensions so that you know better if it's LLB, MSIX, and store. This is not recommendation to use. It's up to you guys because end users won't see any difference in when they are installing application. It's more from support purposes that you want, and if you want to know how you can determine them in a portal as well. And then you have versions, and as well as if this application is assigned to any group user or not, and of course as well as publisher. One more thing I want to bring up over here is application categories. This is where you can set the categories for the users when they open up a company portal. So if you want to say, okay, this application is a business critical application, then you can map it with specific category. Or as example, if you have application that is regular application or finance or accounting, then you can kind of create a categories. It's just easier for the users to know what they want to install or where to look for applications. And over here at the bottom, I'm going to open company portal. So this is how company portal looks like. So as I said, no matter what application you publish, users won't see any difference. Either that is MSI, if it's MSIX, if it's even line of business application, they won't see any difference. It's probably you that will know. Because if you open each of these applications, there's a little bit difference in these rows, what you see under each application. Other than that, most of them will be very similar to each other. As example, this is a store app, right? So exactly the same version, date published. And if I go as example to Power BI, which is Win32 application, the same thing, version, date. And if I would open this example, MSIX, this is MSIX application, you see more like a size version and date published. So users won't notice any difference in that. But what they can do if you set these categories, they can go in and they can see all of the categories. This is business application. This is our computer management. This is another application. It's a web link. And these are regular applications that you can use. So that's what I mean by user categories. All right, let's get back to applications and bring some of them up more closely. So let's open line of business application. So when you open a line of business application here, you can see properties. On the properties, you can see information as example, what's application name, description, publisher, and that's a command line. So this is a command line that you use for this application to install. This is an MSI application. So command line is very simple, just a QB. And at the bottom, you see if application is published to any group. So let me bring up another application, MSIX. You will see a little bit different view in here. So you don't see as much that command lines, but all what you have here is description, category. There's no version. You can see that as well because version is automatically pulled out from MSIX file, as well as if application is published or not as well. Store application, very similar as well. But in here, what you have when you publish the store application, all you have to do, you have to go to the Microsoft Store and copy the link if you want to publish these applications. So here I have an example of store app 7-zip. So all you do, you just copy this entire URL until question mark, and you can create a store app. Of course, it depends if you are authorized to use this, if you have a proper license, if it's a freebie. Anything else, then you can use these applications to publish to the users if you want to have a control. For smaller and medium organizations, this is great because they probably all what they need, they can use store apps. As example, Netflix. If I open the Netflix application, all what I have to do if I want to publish this to all of the users, like I said, you just copy this first part of that URL, and that will be your store application. All right, and then of course you can publish this to our application to the users, and they will see it in the application, in the company portal. And this is Win32 application. This is the closest that you can see towards SCCM. So if you use ever SCCM, probably most of you have done that. You will see here what is application name, description, publisher, categories, as well as logo, and there is a command line. So this is what you use to install application. So then you can create install command line, uninstall command line, and any system behaviors. If you want to reboot, return codes, as well as any requirements, minimum for operating system, 1803, what are detection rules, it's an MSI product code, any dependencies, supersedence, and if its application is published to any group or not. So that's very close to SCCM, like I said, and you can do a lot more with Win32 applications. All right, so let's create a Intune package. All right, let me open up here folder that I'm going to work with. So here is my installer. So what I could do, actually, I could convert this installer into the Intune Win file. If I would have a silent switch, let's say \s or -s or silent, I could just use this application, Notepad++, and install it. The issue if you use vendor installers and you do not package applications properly is maintenance and how you're going to maintain these applications afterwards. If you publish one application a year, that's fine, you can use it. But if you would have to maintain this application again and again, then you might run into the challenges because none of the vendors, when they release these applications, actually do a full uninstall. So you have to test a full uninstall before you create vendor installer. Test application if it's actually uninstalls as well, because we experienced recently a customer who had issues. They published multiple versions of the same installer, of the same program out there. And what happened afterwards was that they couldn't uninstall it because there was user interaction during uninstall process and they didn't package it properly. Of course, if you would package it, a packager would take care of that. So that's why I always would recommend create MSI file. But besides creating MSI file, I always suggest to create and use PowerShell app deployment toolkit. So you can download that one on the Git as well as you can find it on app deployment toolkit site and download that one, because what you can do is that tool, you can add extra configuration in it. So what we use for that, we use Master Wrapper. So Master Wrapper is a tool that we use. Go check it out on a Master Packager website. They do have a packaging tool, but at the same time, they built this wrapper around PowerShell App Deployment Toolkit, and it just helps you to kind of get around PowerShell. If you are not as good coding and finding out in the code, then you can use this this product. And what you had to do here, you can load MSI, it will load all information automatically. And under actions, you can specify your command line. So my command line to install Notepad++ is MSI file. And in here, I have that MSI file. So what I did, I just specified to install this MSI file. But in my deployment, I'm not going to use MSI file. I'm going to use deployment.exe file. Because if I want to do something extra, then this PowerShell gives me that ability. And my extra will be that I'm going to add brand keys. I'm going to add the brand keys to installation. So which means as soon as I'm going to run this installation, it will create me this brand key in the registry that I'm going to use afterwards as a detection method. And the same brand key will be removed after I uninstall this application. So that means it's just an easier for me to tag application and know when it was installed, what date it has, who installed it, like who created the package, and so on. So just an easier way to determine. As well, another benefit of PowerShell is App Deployment Toolkit is that it automatically logs all of these actions in a log file. As example, if I would have multiple installations here, and if I would need to install multiple packages in the same sequence, then I could use that and I could set multiple installers here. And and through the log file, I would be able to track that. And this master wrapper allows me kind of to set some additional settings like pre-installation actions if I need to close any process that is running on machine, or post configuration as well if I want to force a reboot on machine or add extra messages, as well as specific exit codes. All right, let me save this PowerShell file. So now I have ready package, and what I'm going to do now, I'm going to create this package as Intune Win file. So to do that, you run this utility. Like I said, you can find it on a Git, and then all what you have to do, you just paste in here your source folder where you have a main installer that you are executing. In my case, it's a deployment.exe file. So I need to copy this path in here. Then you need to copy and specify your executable file that you're going to specify as a main installer in your Intune package. And then you specify output folder. So in my case, output folder will be in here. And I'm not going to set any category on this. So as soon as I'm going to click no, it will generate Intune Win file. It's going to take probably no more than 10 seconds, and it will just, what it will do, it will compress everything and create a file in this location. So here I have Intune Win file now. So I'm going to rename this file to the same naming convention that I'm using for my package. And what this file is, it's like a compressed file with all of the files that we had in here, but you cannot open it in an easy way. So you need to decompile it. There's another utility you can find. If you want to open it up and see what's inside of that file, then you can do that by just decompiling with that utility. Otherwise, there's nothing inside, right? So you just see XML file that contains information about the executable file, and that's it. So that's all what you have here. One more thing is when you're compressing these applications into Intune Win file, if you have a large application, be aware that sometimes the size doesn't actually reflect the conversion. So double check always if you have exactly or close size to what you had in the folder. So as example, my Intune Win file is 5 megs. And folder size is 5 megs 800, right? So, but if you have a larger applications like 2.5 gigs, compare it. We recently compressed some of the files and it kind of finished properly, but what happened in the end was that the file was only gig, but the file package that we created was gig and 500. So it needed to be a little bit bigger. All right, so now we have Intune Win file. So we're going to use this file and we're going to create a package in Intune portal. All right, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to click add. And in here, I'm going to pick Intune file. So as you can see here, here's all of different types of applications, store applications, as well as Microsoft applications, built-in, Edge, Defender, as well as other types, as example, WebLink, built-in app, LOB, and Win32. So if you choose a line of business application, so this is where you can choose and select MSI, like I said, single MSI file, or you can use Apex or MSIX applications. So if you want to use AppV applications, you have to convert these AppV applications into the MSIX, and then you can use AppV applications as well through the Intune portal. And over here, we're going to choose Intune Win file. So I'm going to select the file. So all what I have to do now is just go and browse to my file. So here on the desktop, I have my Notepad++ Intune file. So I'm going to choose a name. My name will be Intune 8.111. One thing you're going to notice, I added version here, and I will explain it why in a couple of minutes, but I'm going to put the version in here as well. Description, so you can add a lot of information in the description. What I'm going to do, I'm going to set here in the description information that this is Win32 app. So which will give me more information afterwards. I try to support this application. Like I said, when you deploy these applications or when users deploying these applications from the company portal, they don't see large difference, right? So what they're installing, it's more for support people when they need to troubleshoot something, then you know where to look at. So if the user would install application, you can ask them, hey, what do you see in the description? Oh, description contains MSIX application. All right, now you know how to troubleshoot this application. So that's why I added here Win32. And of course, I can add more information like this is file to open, TXT files, XML files, and so on. I'm not going to put anything in there, publisher. So I'm going to put you on cloud. Version category, I'm going to set regular application, as well as I'm going to choose the logo. Logo going to be icon for my application so that users get a better user experience, and a command line. So when we build the applications, and as I said, you on cloud, we deliver applications and we build packages. What we usually do, we document and deliver this documentation to our customers. And this includes all of required information to create the package in Intune. As example, install command line, uninstall, or registry key for the detection method. So I'm going to use this as my installation command line. That was the exe file that I specified when I was converting an application. And this is uninstall command line. Of course, you can set as well reboot. You can force a reboot on a device. I've experienced recently that we had an application that failed to install and we had a forced reboot after installation. But the problem was the application never ended the finished installation. It kind of finished, but it didn't set everything properly. And what happened, the device went to the loop. As soon as the device came up, it tried to install again. And after that, it just went to the loop and never finished. So we had to delete the application. So try first as it is, and then try to play around and set any other settings as you need. So requirements, I'm going to set 64-bit, as well as I'm going to pick operating system minimum 1903. I don't know what my machine was. I'll choose 1809. And if you need to set additional requirements like registry as example of files or something that needs to be on a machine so that this application can install on a device, then you can do that and set these rules as well. Detection method, like I said, you need to pick a detection method. I know that most of the companies are using the MSI product code. And when we deliver applications, we provide that information as well. The problem with the product code is that if you need to reinstall and push something out, and if it's the same package and you need, that means you won't be able to change the product code. Otherwise, you would need to open application package, configure, change the product code, and so on. So that's why we use the master wrapper to set these registry keys and set these brand rules in each application. And in our case, we always try to use the registry key, because if I would need to deploy a new version or changes, I could just change the first part of this code, push it out, set requirement in the PowerShell, uninstall the previous version, install the new version, and here we go. I have a new version deployed on my machine. And the next step is dependencies. So this is why I said initially that you probably want to set versions, maybe not for all applications, maybe versions you want to set only for maybe most common used applications, right? For distributables. Because what you see here, you see here application names, but you don't see versions. So which Microsoft Power BI is the version that I need to install? I don't know. I can pick any of them, right? But that means I'm not going to be aware if that's actually the one that I need. So that's why initially I said maybe put the version in a name if you want to, or like I said, if it's more than one installation application that you have in your environment, maybe set the versions then. All right, I'm not going to set any dependencies, and it works perfectly. You can install dependency automatically prior to installing, so it works great. Supersedence, so this is as well, it's a new feature, it's in a preview. Be careful how you use it because you can push it out something to the users, and if application is production application, you might overwrite or rewrite something. So be careful how you use it. Even in past in SCCM, we always been very careful of using supersedence. Assignments, all right, now you can deploy this application and you can set any groups. Like I said, be careful how you use and deploy these applications, because all what you see here is, as example, you can easily push this application out to all of the users by just one click. Doing this, it's now going to go to all of the users. Maybe you wouldn't notice even that. So that's why use the groups, especially if you are testing something and testing applications. That way you would have ability just to push application to specific group, and then afterwards kind of test it out and make sure that application is working and signing off. All right, and that's a summary of our application that we just created: programs, command lines, requirements, dependencies, none, supersedence, and create. So now it is creating application in an Intune environment, and in here you're going to see that it starts uploading. So if you click on this icon, you can see upload progress. Sometimes, if, like I said, if you have larger applications, it might take a longer. So be careful. But sometimes it might take too long, and maybe it wouldn't finish. I've seen that a couple times as well, that large applications didn't finish properly, even if it's said that it's finished. So you might have to re-import applications several times. All right, so now my application is pushed down to my group, and here's my application. So as you can see here as well, even if it says assigned, you can see here that it still did not assign this application. So like I said earlier, Intune is not an instant, right? So you have to always be careful and don't expect instant response. So wait a little bit, maybe 3 minutes, and only then do the next action. Same goes with deploying applications through company portal. Wait a little bit and then try to install application. Refresh. Let me see if my application is pushed out. Yeah, now it has a trigger saying application is assigned. So one more thing I want to show you. So through here, you can't see which applications are production deployed. So it's a little bit harder to troubleshoot. And if you don't have any management system in place, it's not easy. Therefore, what we use, it's our product. This is our developed solution. It's in-house built. And what we use with this system, APM, we track applications that are published into production. So this is a list of all loaded applications that we have in an Intune environment. So we have a connector and it loads applications every 24 hours. And what we have here is example Adobe Acrobat Reader DC. So what we can do here, we can open this checkbox, which will pop up and show us information about our application into the Intune. As an example, we even can edit this information. We see as well description, program, installation commands, detection rules, requirements, as well as where application is distributed. As well as if we need, we can see if this application is assigned and to which users and which devices it has successfully been installed and on which machines it probably failed. So here you can see as well reason why it is failing. Then you can go and troubleshoot the reasons of that as well. But why I wanted to show you this portal, because we use this portal to control and manage packaging process. And if you see here a mapped file, which allows you to open a request, that means that we can open this application request in the portal. And what we see here is date when application was completed, who deployed this application into the production, what is deployment group to use in the production. That means it's great for the service desk and the help desk to use as a system. Even if they don't have access to the Intune, they can always refer to this system and go back and say, hey, we need to add the users so that they can access to the Acrobat Reader. And then they can look up here in the system and see, okay, this is a published application, as well as what the name of the company and name of the application in a company portal, if there's any dependencies and so on. And we use the system to control the packaging process as well. So when application package comes into our management system, we built an application, we got all of information in a single place. As example, here's all our installation files, original files, documentation, as well as we use this to build applications, measure if package is delivered in time, as well as where you have all of the required application information to create Intune package. And in the import phase, you import this application into the system. And then here you have ability to open instructions, as I showed you earlier, document that we deliver. And in here you have information that you need to create an application or deploy this application. And of course, as well, we use the system to sign off this application, test it, and make sure that application is successfully signed off. And if it is, you can move it and you can publish it to the production, which means you can change the deployment group and the status on application. Like I said, it's not an easy way of tracking that in an Intune portal. Therefore, we use our system to help customers to track these applications, as well as they can use that as their definitive software library where they track all their applications. One thing why I showed you this is because it's not an easy way how you can access to the file that you created. So if you don't keep this file that we've generated and created anywhere in any blob storage, any other storage, file storage, wherever you have FTP, then you might lose the package because it's not easy to get this file out afterwards. There is a way, and I'm going to try to show you that, but you'll have to be very fast to get it out, and especially if it's a smaller application. Because if I open the application and if I go to the properties and if I try to click edit over here, I cannot download this file. I can only replace this file with a new Intune Win file. All right, so let me go back to my virtual test machine, and I'm going to show you how the installation process is working on a test machine. So hopefully my package is published and available in a company portal. Let me see. All right, there is my Notepad++ application package that we just created. So if I open this application package, I will see information in here. It's you on cloud. It's created description is it's a Win32 application. I didn't put any indicator in a name of application that it is Win32 application. As example, you will see that over here I have another application which is MSIX application. So either way, I can install each of them. In our case, we're going to install this application so I can show you how installation steps are happening in the background. And in here, I have some notifications that some applications fail to install. So if application failed to install, you can always go back and look at the log files as well in an Intune portal and find out the reasons why it has failed. So before I start installing this application, I want to bring up a couple Windows Explorer open folders in here. So this over here is Intune log location. So over here you can see where the Intune logs are written, and this is the file that you need to open to track how application is installing. Yeah, see, I have a lot of reds, and these reds are due to my my Intune application that probably failed before. This is a log that you need to look at when you are troubleshooting and looking after application. And over here, I have a content. So this is a location where it will download content, first of all, and then it will stage the content in this location. And then after the staging, it will copy application into this location, from which it will start installation of my application. And over here, I have another log location. So this is a log location for PowerShell, Windows logs. And then here, it should create me a software folder, and a software folder will be used to see the steps of my PowerShell. All right, let me run the installation. All right, now you can see it started downloading. So I can see my logs that it started staging application, it started downloading. So if I go to my folder in here and I open incoming, I can see that it started downloading my package. If I open staging, here is my folder. And over here is my content. So I can open this and I can see my PowerShell in here. The problem is that it will automatically delete this file after application is installed. So like I said, if you want to be fast, you can get this content, you can copy this content, and that will be one of the ways how you can get your PowerShell an easy way to be uncompressed, right? So now the installation is running, and let me open a little bit of log file so I can show you steps. Download. So this is a download. It's a downloading my application. This is my application ID. Let me go further. Execution, installation behavior. Let me scroll down. Yeah, that's the final part. And in here, it is the folder where it was running it from. I'm not going to go through entire log. You can go and you can find this information on our site. We wrote a blog post some time ago where you can find information, how to troubleshoot, and where to look for information about Intune applications. So in here, you can find information, how to troubleshoot, where to look, installation execution, detection rules, application requirements, download content, where it is downloading, as well as command line. So what I can see, if I will just copy this one and installation behavior, and I'll copy this and go back to my virtual machine. And let me find this command in here. There it is. So here's my command line. And in here, I should see somewhere executed command of my application, which should be deployment exe file. There it is. There's deployment. That's the one. That's installation. Sorry, I'm missing it or I'm not seeing it, maybe. Yeah, but that's how you can troubleshoot. You just need to read the log file and figure it out, how application and if application is installed. So I always use these keywords to detect something and to find something in a portal, in Intune log file. And if I go back, like I said, my cache, IME cache is empty. And in here, I have a software folder. And over here, I can see this is my log file of my installation, Notepad++. And if I open this with CM Trace, I can see installation progress as well, what command it was executing, as well my registry keys that I set, and as a detection. And if I go to my regedit, will open, and I will see here that my application is successfully installed, Notepad++, version number, as well as what time it was successfully installed. And in here, we have, of course, Notepad++ application installed on our machine. All right, perfect. Well, thank you everyone for being part of this webinar. I hope that you gained some new knowledge, or at least I showed you something that you didn't know before. So if you want to reach out to me, you always can email me. That's my email address, as well as you can find some information on our website. So thank you again, and have a great rest of the day.